Tonight, the world holds its breath. The Middle East stands precariously on the edge of a far wider and more devastating war than it has seen in decades, a conflict that threatens to engulf the entire region. Decades of simmering tensions are about to boil over. The world watches anxiously, bracing for the potential fallout. Every nation is aware of the stakes. On June 13, 2025, a date that will forever be etched in the annals of history, Israeli warplanes initiated Operation Rising Lion, a daring and ambitious strike, striking deep into the heart of Iran, targeting its most critical military and nuclear sites with pinpoint accuracy, including the capital, Tehran, and the heavily fortified Natanz nuclear facility. The attacks resulted in the deaths of senior Iranian commanders, key nuclear scientists, and vital personnel, severely crippling Iran's military capabilities and its chain of command. The damage was extensive and far-reaching. Iran's response was immediate and decisive, unleashing a barrage of hundreds of missiles and drones, targeting major Israeli cities with relentless fury, overwhelming Israeli air defenses, causing widespread destruction and resulting in significant civilian casualties. For the first time in decades, the fragile peace has been shattered. Open war has erupted between Israel and Iran, ending the long-standing covert conflict and proxy wars between these bitter rivals. The gloves are off, mass evacuations are underway, and mounting casualties on both sides have plunged the region into chaos and uncertainty, with the looming risk of catastrophic escalation growing exponentially with each passing hour. The stakes could not be higher. The world now faces a crisis that threatens to pull the entire region and potentially beyond into a devastating conflict with no easy resolution in sight. The future is uncertain. In Washington, the gears of power are turning as the nation's capital grapples with an escalating international crisis. The crisis dominates every conversation within the White House, casting a long shadow over daily operations. President Trump, facing immense pressure, has set a firm 2-week deadline. This deadline is for deciding on America's response, a decision that could alter the course of global events. The options are being carefully considered, weighing the potential benefits of military intervention against the very real risks of inaction and further escalation. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the Pentagon is rapidly deploying assets. Fighter jets are being prepped and positioned, carrier groups are being mobilized, and sophisticated missile defenses are being strategically placed across the Middle East. This show of force is intended as a clear signal of readiness and a powerful deterrent to potential adversaries. Simultaneously, the U.S. is bolstering its support for Israel, providing them with critical real-time intelligence and access to advanced weaponry to enhance their defense capabilities. This unwavering support further solidifies and deepens its commitment to the security of its key ally in the region. Trump's public statements are carefully crafted, swinging between strong threats of overwhelming force and subtle hints at the possibility of diplomatic resolutions. This calculated ambiguity is designed to keep adversaries guessing about America's true intentions. This deliberate ambiguity creates a palpable sense of global uncertainty, sending ripples through international markets. The question on everyone's mind: will the U.S. ultimately choose to strike, or will it seek a diplomatic off-ramp to de-escalate the situation? The strength of the alliance with Israel remains central to the strategic calculus, and every move, every decision, is meticulously calculated for maximum strategic impact on the global stage. The world watches with bated breath as the U.S. weighs its next step in this high-stakes game, knowing that the consequences of this decision could be truly historic, reshaping the geopolitical landscape for years to come. At the heart of U.S. deliberations, a weapon of last resort looms large: the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator. This isn't just another bomb. It represents a quantum leap in destructive capability, a tool specifically engineered to overcome the most daunting of defensive structures. It's a 30,000-pound bunker buster, a behemoth of military engineering. Its sheer size and weight are indicative of its purpose: to penetrate deep into the earth, bypassing layers of concrete and steel designed to withstand conventional attacks. It is designed with one primary objective: to destroy Iran's most fortified nuclear sites. These aren't surface-level targets. They are facilities deliberately buried deep underground, shielded by mountains and reinforced with layers of defense. Only the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, with its unique payload capacity and stealth capabilities, can deliver this weapon. This pairing of bomber and bomb is no accident. It's a deliberate strategy to ensure the weapon can reach its target undetected. It is capable of striking targets buried deep within mountains, like the Fordo facility, a site specifically designed to withstand aerial bombardment. The precision and power of the MOP are intended to negate even the most robust defensive measures. The mere discussion of using the MOP, even without its actual deployment, signals a potential shift from tactical support to a comprehensive strategic campaign aimed at dismantling Iran's nuclear program. It moves beyond containment and deterrence, suggesting a willingness to actively eliminate the threat. This threat is not only military but also deeply psychological, designed to influence decision-making through a clear demonstration of capability. It is pressuring Iran's leaders to realize that even their most protected assets are vulnerable to US military might. The message is clear: there is no safe haven. However, deploying the MOP carries immense risks, including the potential for catastrophic environmental disaster. Such an action would almost certainly trigger a massive Iranian retaliation, potentially escalating the conflict into a regional war. The consequences could be devastating and far-reaching. The decision to use it represents a high-stakes gamble with potentially irreversible consequences. It is one that could plunge the US into a direct, bloody conflict with uncertain outcomes and potentially devastating losses. The world watches with bated breath, fully aware of the stakes, to see if this ultimate weapon will be unleashed, and what the repercussions will be. As the White House weighs war, fierce debate rages at home. Most Americans oppose direct military involvement, wary after years of costly wars in the region. In Congress, lawmakers from both parties demand that any attack on Iran requires explicit authorization, citing the War Powers Resolution. A bipartisan coalition warns that bypassing Congress would set a dangerous precedent and spark legal battles. This domestic resistance complicates Trump's decision, forcing him to consider not just global risks, but political fallout at home. Launching a war without public or legal backing could divide the nation and undermine his presidency. The voices of caution in Congress and the public are a powerful check as America stands at a crossroads. Iran has responded with defiant threats, warning that any US intervention will bring devastating retaliation. Iranian leaders vow to target US forces and bases across the Middle East, leveraging their missile arsenal and proxy networks. The regime threatens to close the Strait of Hormuz, risking a global oil shock and economic crisis. The conflict could ignite a wider regional war, drawing in Hezbollah, the Houthis, and militias in Iraq and Syria. World leaders urge restraint, fearing humanitarian catastrophe, regional instability, and a new wave of extremism. Diplomats scramble for a ceasefire, desperate to prevent a war that could spiral out of control. The stakes are global, and the risks extend far beyond the battlefield. The conflict has already rattled the global economy. Oil prices surged, stock markets tumbled, and investors fled to safe havens. Fears of a wider war threaten to tip the fragile global economy into recession. The world's economic health now hinges on decisions made in Washington, Jerusalem, and Tehran. Diplomats from the US and Europe are pressuring Israel to pause, hoping to create space for negotiations and civilian evacuations. The White House, while preparing for war, keeps diplomatic options open, signaling a dual-track approach. The international community clings to hope that talks can avert disaster. The next moves will determine whether diplomacy prevails or the world plunges into chaos. The world holds its breath as the crisis enters a decisive phase. President Trump's looming decision, military intervention or restraint, will shape the region's fate. Watch for US military movements. Deployment of B-2 bombers or the MOP would signal imminent escalation. Congressional action on war powers could constrain or embolden the president. Iran's next moves, especially in the Strait of Hormuz, could force America's hand. Global markets will react instantly, influencing leaders' choices. The stakes are immense, and the world waits as history hangs in the balance.